Good afternoon to all our viewers. We will give it a few minutes for everybody who wants to join in. So please do bear with us. Just about 2 minutes and then we will start our program. We are giving it a few more minutes, just about 1 or 2 minutes, so that our viewers can join in. So please do bear with us. A very good afternoon to all our viewers and welcome again to another segment of Education on Air. And as promised at his last EOA, we have with us Mr. Naren Arulraja, CEO of Equa Marketing, to present another interesting topic, branding, discovering, communicating, and living your brand. Once Naren has completed his presentation, there will be a discussion segment, and I will forward some questions from the audience to him. If you have any questions, you can press the Q&A bubble that is on your screen. I think some of you might have it at the bottom of your screen, and post in your questions. Hello, Naren. It's nice to have you again back with us. Welcome, and it's over to you, Naren.
Hi, Thalini. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm glad that I'm able to come back for the next webinar in our series around internet marketing. So today we're going to be talking about branding, discovering, communicating, and living your brand. I'm the founder and CEO of a few companies. Equa.com is the one that I'm the most proud of. It's a company that has around staff, and we serve doctors, accountants, and attorneys with regards to online marketing. I started Entrepreneur.md, which is another business that focuses on helping doctors, become better business people, and obviously connects accountants and attorneys, etc., with them. So I'm going to kind of share a lot of insights from my experience as an entrepreneur, somebody building something from scratch. What did I learn? So today's topic is around branding, and as the subtitle says, there are key things you need to kind of keep in mind. First of all, how do you understand your brand? And I think you don't have to make it up. I mean, it really has to come from within, and we'll get into that in more details. And then you have to communicate it. Communicate it as in, you need to constantly communicate it again and again and again, so it really registers with people. And then finally, you have to live it, right? If you say one thing but what they see is different, then people are going to get disillusioned, and it's going to actually backfire on you, right? So all these three pieces, I think, are critical when it comes to branding. Branding is not complicated. You don't need to hire an expensive consultant to figure it out for you. It's pretty straightforward. It really comes from within. And I'm going to talk about how you can discover your brand, how you can communicate your brand, and how you can live your brand. This is interesting. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. right? And if they identify with your why, then they become customers and really loyal customers. These lines, and I'll share that with you. So let me clarify, right? As an accountant, you probably provide tax services. You probably might provide bookkeeping services. Maybe you have some experience around businesses or helping people think about the business, how to code and how to save money. So you have all these different experiences, but really those are skills, right? I mean, as you know, we are living in a time of unprecedented change, where jobs are getting shipped overseas, or they are, being transferred to computers to do, right? So a lot of accounting now is done with software, right? So how do you justify to somebody that they need you and that you deserve the fees you charge? I really think that's why you need to start thinking about the why. Like, if your why is to help somebody grow their business, if your why is to help somebody, make more profits out of their business, I think that's much more interesting than saying, okay, we do taxes, we do consulting, we do this, we do that. So I think that awareness of what people care about is the why, I think is very powerful. Another example I think we can all relate to is Martin Luther King. This is, I guess, a long time ago, before computers and a lot of other technology we have today, but 250,000 people came to listen to him speak. And the reason is, he didn't give a speech around, what's my plan? He gave a speech around, my dream, right? The why. So anybody who identified with the why, anybody who could relate to the why, drove hundreds of miles to come and listen to him speak. Different colors, different backgrounds, different parts of the country. So I really think, in a crowded marketplace where you're getting squeezed, it's really important, if you want to be successful, to kind of go back to the basics, really understand the why that resonates with customers. Most people communicate from the outside in, and typically they start by talking about what they do. Okay, we make great computers, and then they talk about how they do it. We do it, some people might say, by including the best chips, the best, the Intel chip and the Windows package and so forth. And then they say why they do it. Actually, they don't even say why they do it. So they really focus on the what and the how. So most commercials you watch on TV, for example, most traditional PC commercials, it has this processor, it's only $299, it has this kind of a screen. It's all about the what. But after a while, people don't care about the what anymore, because they've heard the same things from pretty much everybody else out there, right? Because nobody's going to come and say, we use inferior technology. Nobody's going to come and say, we don't know what we are doing, right? So everybody's going to say, we are the best and we can do anything you want. So a company that I studied a lot is Apple, and so if Apple were to communicate like other people do, they would communicate something like this: we make great computers, they are beautifully done, easy to use, always work. Do you want to buy one? So here, we make great computers is the what, right? That's how most people communicate. We provide accounting services, tax services, etc. That's the what. They are beautifully done, easy to use, always work, right? That's the how. So in your case, we have certified CPAs. We have been doing this for 25 years. Those are hows, right? That's how you provide, great service, right? So do you want to buy one, right? So it's not that inspiring. It's kind of boring, and it's pretty much like everybody else. I mean, everybody else in the marketplace. One of the quotes I recently heard, and I kind of would like to share with you, is, if you are following the mass or the herd, you really have two outcomes. Either you lose or you lose big. Really, those are the two options you have, because because always the math is about cheaper, faster, better, and it's a game you can never win. So I really think you don't want to do that. So I really think going back to understanding your why and how and what, I think would really help you rethink how you look at your business, how you focus on things, and then how do you communicate it so that you can succeed. So great brands communicate from the inside out. They start with the why, they talk about the how, and then they talk about the what. So how does Apple actually communicate? Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. That's their why. So they won't get into a project or a product or industry if they don't think they can challenge the status quo, if they don't think they can reimagine that whole, how things are done. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed. That's their how, easy to use, and in a way they always work, right? So that's their how. And then the what is, we happen to make computers. Now they're going to make watches, they make music players, anything. You can fill in the blank and add anything. As long as people identify with your why and the how, they would line up. 10 million people line up, for days at end to get a product that they have never even seen or touched. That's because they identify with the why and the how, mostly the why, and then they know that Apple delivers, right? So this is why my presentation was titled Discovering Your Brand, Living Your Brand, and Communicating. So why is living important? If Apple's products are not beautifully designed, after a while people won't believe it. So it's really, really important, not what you say, but actually can you live it, and can you get better at it, right? 25 years ago, Mac, if you look at today's standards, was not very user-friendly. But at that time, it was the best user-friendly device out there. It was the first one with a mouse and and so forth, right? So the definition of what is user-friendly can change. So as long as if that's one of your values and you kind of focus on it and get better and better, you are fine, right? So then people will always identify you as those hows. So it's really, really important to live your how. When we talk about beauty, right? Even a package is beautifully designed. When we talk about easy to use, I get a Samsung phone, I have to take a scissors and cut open the packaging, and then I have to plug it in and charge it, and then only I can use it. Now I get an iPhone, this is a sticker, I just literally pull the sticker out, and it comes charged, and as soon as I press that single button, it says welcome, and it walks me through, and 2 minutes later I'm using my phone. So, again, it's not about lip service, it's not about saying things, it's actually, can you actually deliver it, can you actually live it, right? So that's really important, and that's what we're going to talk about. How do you live it? How do you, communicate it consistently again and again? Because great brands are not built by money, they are built by, really discovering your brand and then living it and communicating it. So let me talk about my example, right? So I guess I'm in a business that is very similar to a lot of accountants. When I came into the marketplace, our story is kind of interesting. We were running a business called Busy Moms, a website for moms, and advertising-based business. And in 2008, it kind of tanked. So at that time, I was trying to talk a dentist into advertising on Busy Moms, and he talked me into doing marketing for him. And his idea was pretty straightforward. His idea was that, if you guys can drive 200,000 people and you can compete with people like Amazon online, you should be able to easily compete with 10,000 dentists in Chicago, right? So he's like, okay, I know if you can help me dominate search engine optimization, because back then that's all there was. I mean, Facebook didn't exist and a lot of other things didn't exist. I should do well, and therefore you should do well, because I'll keep using you forever. He's still a client of ours. And one of the things I'm very proud of is 90% of our clients stay with us for life. So our why became, I realized quickly that I can't help somebody who doesn't know how to be successful. But I can definitely help somebody who knows how to be successful. He was a very successful businessman. So I could help a person who knows how to be successful. Be the best at online marketing, crush his competition, do extremely well, and therefore grow his business. And then I realized it's not about lip service, it's about results. So we really focused on, our why of helping those who know how to be successful, significantly grow their business with the best online marketing on the planet. So then we started asking the question, how do we do it? And what we realized is you can't take shortcuts, you need teams, you need to really put a lot of hours into things, you need to follow the guidelines. You need to focus on results, because if you don't really look at numbers, and if you don't really look at data and see how things are improving, whether it's phone calls or number of visitors or patients and so forth, you really can't improve things. So those became our house, right? Building an amazing team of experts, putting the hours in, focusing on the results and connecting the dots. So we really focused on building those how out. But the beautiful thing about our business is, 90% of our clients don't leave us. So it really makes a ton of sense for us to scale our business. That's how we went from, nothing, 7 years ago to now, 150, staff. So it really gives you a springboard for success. Now, notice my vibe is not world-changing like Apple's. We're going to change this world. We're going to change the status quo, right? I mean, I don't have big ambitions. My ambitions are pretty, small. I just wanted to make sure that those people who know how to be successful in business, they have the best marketing in the world that makes them a ton of money. That's it. And we just went ahead and did it. Now, a lot of accountants are in a similar boat. What they don't realize, and this is what I'm discovering with many of the successful ones who do realize this, their success doesn't come from the fact that they have a CPA. It doesn't come from the fact that they understand profit and loss. It really comes from the fact that they can act as a business advisor and help somebody grow their business, help somebody do more with their money, right? So that's really their value add, right? So in a world where somebody else will do it for cheaper, faster, either overseas or here or a software program, what you can do uniquely is helping them make more money and keep more money. So if you really start thinking about that why, and then figure out how do you do it, better than everybody else, how exactly are you doing it, and then both living it. So what you're saying is true, and then also communicating it. I think you will have a successful business. Now, this kind of a why that I shared with you, my why and the why I shared with you, doesn't have to be your why, right? Yours could be different, but I just gave you an example of one that I think might work, and especially in a marketplace that we are in, where prices are getting pushed down and competition is all very high. So we talked about the how. So a lot of times, how is what you focus on in building, because that's the tangible part, right? Beautiful design products, or access to somebody with 25 years of experience helping other people build businesses. So that's kind of your how, and that's what you kind of focus on and build and make stronger and stronger and stronger, right? So how do you find your how? And I think you have to be creative, right? So a lot of times, I think you've heard the saying that if Ford said this, if I had asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said, I want a faster horse. So you have to be a bit creative, but at the same time, you can ask your customers. If you have an established, successful business, meaning you're already, making $500,000 or more, and you're doing extremely well, more than likely your how already is there, because you cannot get to that level without really being good at your how. So a lot of times in those cases, you can ask your customers, why do you keep coming back to us, and why do you keep referring your friends? And they will tell you why. But and you'll be surprised at the consistency. So what we do is we help our clients develop a small survey and then record the answers and then listen to it. And what we notice is a lot of people, especially of success, who are clients of successful strong businesses, pretty much will tell you how in a consistent way. Now, if you are not a successful business, if you are just kind of struggling, because I do see a lot of accounting firms that are not necessarily doing extremely well, I think in that case you need to be creative. You need to kind of figure out all the skills and all the things you have and all the capabilities you have. What can you do that's going to make a difference, right? What can you do that people will say, yeah, this person actually has made me so much money or saved me so much money, he is worth it, right? So you really have to think from their point of view, the customer's point of view, and figure out, how do you position yourself? How do you communicate? How do you think of yourself? How do you, become the best in that space by really putting yourself in the customer's shoes? So what I really think this is the least important, right? I mean, today you could do one thing and tomorrow you could do something else or add to it, right? And people don't care because everybody will have a huge list of whats. I mean, all your competition. So I really think what doesn't really matter as much as the why and the how. So people won't remember many things about you. So keep this short. So I guess we believe in, I mean, a sample accountant's brand could be, we believe in helping our clients grow their businesses and keep most of their money. We do that by we do that by having CPAs who have helped hundreds of clients grow their businesses by X, right? I'm making this up, right? So it can be whatever it is, it's yours. By constantly keeping up with changes in regulation and sharing and learning about how to grow businesses and then sharing that wisdom with our clients. So that's your how. And we happen to provide tax prep services and bookkeeping services and advisory services and so forth. That's your what. So that's how I would think about my business, and always focus on the why first, then the how, and then the what. So, what are some of the things the clients are expecting from an account? I think the number one thing is they want to be able to trust you, right? Because, they're coming to you to ask your advice on how they can be, better off financially, right? So I think trust is key. And that comes from two parts, right? One is your knowledge, and one is how thorough you are and how much of a straight shooter you are, right? And obviously, I mean, if they're going to pay you a lot of money, they would expect you to make them a lot of money, right? I mean, in this world, nobody's willing to give anybody free money, right? So I think people would expect results, and I think that's why you need to both focus on it so you can deliver it, and also actually communicate it. So when you start talking about your brand, talk about how much money somebody saved or how much money somebody made. That's how you start telling your story. So it really becomes real as opposed to just words on a piece of paper. And if you start doing this over a long time, you could even focus on getting them to do it for you. Some of your clients will have no problem giving you a written testimonial or a video or an audio testimonial. Obviously, video is better than audio, which is better than written, but something is better than nothing, and also it focuses everybody, right? It focuses your client, it focuses your staff, so everybody understands your why and your how, so they kind of support it. So communicating your brand. I think really writing down that short paragraph, like I was sharing with you, your why and your how and what, and then highlighting it prominently on your website, I think that's not a bad idea. And obviously make sure your staff understands it, because if they understand your why and your how first, then they can focus on living it, right? They can focus on helping you become the best in those hows, as well as helping you live your why. So anything that doesn't fit, it's an easy no. So you can focus on the things that matter. And in terms of communication, there are a lot of tools. Obviously, website is a big tool. You can use the website to have your view of your business, that small paragraph. You can use it to tell that brand story in the form of testimonials and so forth. And also in today's world, you can also remind them periodically. How do you remind them? Through social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Newsletters. Now you have to be very careful, because anytime you're communicating out to them, meaning you're pushing something to them, 70 to 80% of the communication should be about them, something that's useful to them, something that they would appreciate, right? And sometimes it could be something about your local basketball team, because you're very passionate and you're into it, and so are your clients, right? So it has to mean something to them, right? Or it could be something like your educating new law that they can take advantage of, or they need to be aware of, right? So it's really about them. So you're trying to always make them realize you're thinking of them and their success. And then 10 or 20%, in a subtle way, you can share your stories about how you have changed a client's business and their personal life with your services, right? So, and again, reinforce your why and your how. So you can really tell that story, but don't take more than 20% of your time or your space to talk about you and really put 80% into doing something that they would appreciate, whether it's something personal like local teams, or whether it's something that they wish they knew. Part of review sites, I think what we are noticing is more and more people will never choose a business till they check out that business online by typing the business name. So they would go and try to find out what other people have to say, reviews and other things. So I think over the long term, you need to focus on it, because it's like the last mile. You work so hard to get them interested enough to pick up the phone and call. And when they do search you, and studies now show 9 out of 10 people do search small businesses online before they pick up the phone and call that particular business they like. So when they do search you online, you need to make sure the reputation that you have online, A, is consistent with your brand and is positive, right? Because if it's not consistent, then they're going to be like, I thought this person is this, and I'm seeing something else, and I'm confused. And also, if it's not positive, people will badmouth you and say nasty things about you, then most people will not take a chance. They'll be like, oh, I would rather not, spend so much money and trust this person with all my life and all my business, finances. So I do think this is something you should focus on. So from a branding standpoint, I think the key point here is the story you are telling has to be consistent with your brand, right? So even the reviews and the testimonials ideally should reinforce that. One of the things accountants have going for them is the lifetime value of clients. So most accountants tell me that a client typically can spend $5,000 to $10,000 a year, and a lot of them will stay forever as long as the relationship is there and they can the accountant continues to provide value. So in that kind of an environment, the beautiful thing is the lifetime value of a client is very high. So when you do marketing properly, right, that's getting your brand right, communicating it right, getting your SEO right, making sure you're showing up for hundreds of search terms. That will make the phone ring. I mean, I have clients, especially that get 30, 40, 50 calls a month, and they just need one single client to make a lot of money over a 10, 20-year period, right? So it works if you really have your brand right and your SEO right and your reputation right. It translates into a massive ROI. So one of the things that we realized is that people want things done for them. They don't want to figure it out. They don't want to do it. Accountants want to be accountants. Doctors want to be doctors. So we kind of act as their team. So we put in 35 hours a month, on average, per client, and then that turns into results that we measure and track. And again, this goes back to our why and our how, right? So which is around helping our clients, be the best at online marketing and therefore grow their business in a very meaningful way. So in a way with a very significant ROI. So I do think the good news is, success doesn't have to be hard. Just have to think about it differently, and you have to look at things differently, and then you need to kind of connect the dots or put the puzzle in place so you do succeed. So anyway, so that's the good news. Customer success stories, and we already touched on it. You can tell those stories through your website, through reputation site, through social media, through your newsletter, and so forth. Monthly newsletter, I think, is a great idea because out of sight, out of mind. So some people on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, great. So those people, we can keep in touch through that. And one of the things that we do for our clients is, kind of doing all of this for them. And most of our clients, professional services clients, they do have a monthly newsletter because they always have something interesting that they can share. It could be a short link to an article, or it could be some kind of a case that might be relevant to your clients, or any kind of a law or whatever it is. We touched on this, living your brand. So now this is a really, really important part of the presentation. If what you say is not who you are, it's a problem. I'll give you a real story. I used to go to the salon, an awesome, barber, and he takes care of his clients in a certain way, and he would massage your head, and he would give you a soft drink, and he would talk to you. He knows a lot about you, and he really, is somebody that you look forward to going and seeing. And after a while, there was a new person involved, and this new person was always on the phone, even when he's cutting his hair. He didn't care, and he didn't provide that service that the owner provided. So after a while, like most people, I got disillusioned because what I was after was that experience, right? It's kind of, I expected something and I didn't get what I expected. 27 million people, I think, go to McDonald's every day. Yes, McDonald's doesn't make healthy food. Yes, McDonald's, is not the best of the best, but 27 people go there because 27 million people go there in the US alone is because they're consistent. They do the same things again and again. Food is cost effective, it's clean, it's fast, and so forth, right? So anybody who appreciates those attributes would patronize that brand. So it's really, really important for you to live it. So how do you live it? That's something that I'm going to talk about. So this is something that we use a lot, and a lot of successful companies do. So there was an article, I think, in the early 2000s on the Harvard, published on the Harvard Business Review. It's called the Net Promoter Score. The idea is that long surveys don't work. A, because they're long, most people don't read it or take the time, and B, you're putting words in your client's mouth. So this survey is pretty straightforward. It's 2 questions. The first question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you will tell your friends about us, where do we stand, right? You just let the client speak. 9 out of 10 is called a promoter. Those are the people who love you. Those are the people who would tell their friends about you. Those are the people who would try to help you grow your business. So you can ask them for a testimonial. You can ask them to, write a review for you. Do all kinds of stuff for you. You can even ask them to, bring you to a meeting that they are going to. So they're there to help you. So knowing that they're promoters is great. And the next question we ask, the second question is why. And the why is really, really valuable because that tells them what do those people appreciate. If a lot of them say it's the business advice, you know what? You need to focus on it. You need to get better at it. You need to communicate that better. You just need to make it a strength of yours. So I think, so Net Promoter Score is a 2-question survey. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, you tell your friends where do we stand. And then second question is why. Anybody who gives you a 9 out of 10 is a promoter, like we discussed. Anybody who gives you less than 6 is a detractor. They don't like you. They don't like your business. There could be 2 reasons. You did something that really pissed them off, or you didn't deliver what they thought you were going to deliver, or it's just not a good fit, right? So if it's your fault, fall on the sword, do what you need to fix it, and move on, right? Because you want to keep those people because you are the one who messed up. But then there's the other group where it's not a good fit. They just are not your type of client. Like for example, I'm sure you've seen these clients. There are some clients who just are all over the place. They don't focus. So you can sit and talk to them about specific things, but they don't do anything with it. And then they complain that they're spending so much money with you and you're not really adding any value, right? So at some point you have to be straightforward with this client and say, I'm not sure if this is working out because even though it might look like, oh, you're going to lose some money and whatnot, but I think as a business, you would be better off spending the time on the right type of client who's help and therefore help you by benefiting from you and sharing your story, their story about, with you, with others, and being loyal to you for a long time. Sometimes saying no to those wrong kind of clients is very good. So it's a very powerful tool, and I would suggest you use it at least every 6 months. Call tracking. So another way to kind of see what's going on. So call tracking is a very powerful tool that tells you which of your marketing is working and how much and how things are improving. So for example, if you are doing 3 types of marketing, you can have 3 different unique numbers to see what's working and what's not. So this will track the call. If you want, you could even record the calls. You can look for things like missed calls because these leads are very valuable. So when a call is missed, you get an email immediately saying you missed a call, so somebody can immediately follow up. So there's so much you can do with technology these days that really help. And this is again something that we offer as part of our service because we really think it makes a ton of difference. The other benefit is when you do record calls, you can really look at your customer experience from the outside and you can see what your customers see. And it's very powerful, right? Because a training tool, you can discuss it in your meetings, you can make sure everybody's on the same page in how they communicate and live the why and the how, and so forth. We're talking, so So I really believe that business can do so much for its own success by looking inwards. And this is why I think tools like NPS and call tracking are very powerful, because it helps you be smart, right? You're not wasting your time doing the things that are useless. You are instead focused on the things that are making a difference. Discover, communicate, and live your brand. So to summarize, we talked about how do you discover your brand, right? Which is, a lot of times if you're a successful established business, just ask your customers, why do you keep coming back to me and referring your friends, right? If you're not, really think about it. Really think about what difference can you make on the why front. Why are you endearing to them? And then try to build that business. And then the how, like we talked about, is key, because how is how you actually deliver that promise, right? Whatever the how is for you, just understand it and then live it and communicate it. We talked about how to communicate that through your website, through social media, through newsletters, all types of tools. We talked about how to live your brand, tools like NPS surveys, call tracking, and internal meetings to discuss how you guys are doing. So it's not a lot of money. Actually, it doesn't take any money at all. It just takes a bit of thought and a bit of time, and then just follow through. So even if you just think about it once a month, it'll make a big difference, because just little steps at a time, whether it's living or communicating on your brand, would go a long way. You don't need to boil the ocean tomorrow. It just incrementally builds. And then after a while, your clients become your fans, because they identify with your why and your how, and they start telling other people who identify with the same why and how. And that's kind of how you build a long-term successful business. And that's kind of my secret as well, because I didn't get any money from the outside when I built my business. It's all about looking inwards. And it's all about really understanding, the clients and understanding yourself, and then, building a brand and living it. And if there's anything we can do, obviously we would. So the next two presentations, one is called Reputation Management and Social Media, and we'll go into the details of how you can do that. One after that is automated by a ton of people in your database. So how do you communicate with them? How do you nurture them without doing it one-on-one? Content marketing, right? Because at the end of the day, content is king. Whether it's a video or an article, you can use it in so many different ways to really get benefit and really stay in touch and attract new people. Analytics, like I said, the reason we exist as a company is because there were so many companies that were doing stuff, but none of them focused on results. The only way you can get results is looking at analytics, calls and visitors and improvements and conversions and all that type of stuff. So analytics is important. So this is something again we do on behalf of our clients, but I'm going to teach you how you can figure this out and at least get an understanding of it. We do have a special offer, so I do think accounting is a sweet spot for us, because accountants do refer other types of clients, attorneys and doctors. We have some amazing offers for them, because we see them as partners, most of them clients. So if you guys are interested in having us kind of take a look at your marketing, give you a plan on where you are today versus where we think we can take you, we would love to do that. So reach out to us. It's on us. I would personally sit down with you and based on all the research we do, share my thoughts on kind of where you versus where you can get to and how. Let me go to the question and answers section. Hello?
Yes. Sorry. Thank you, Naren. Thank you for all that very interesting information. And we will continue with our questions. And we have received a few questions for you today. Let me give you the first question, Naren. How can I use social media to promote my brand? Does advertising online really work?
Yeah, so let me kind of touch on social media. First of all, I think you need to so once you have social media, in addition to using it as a tool to keep in touch with people, since they are things that system. You can also in some way use or to some case studies and different things. Engage by long. Problem is people know an ad is an ad is an ad, and also having done this for such a long time, I find advertising compared to organic, meaning building your brand, driving your SEO traffic, building your reputation, and therefore growing your business, gives you 20 cents on the dollar. So if you give me $1,000 and you tell me to use it for organic, I probably need $5,000 to do the same thing with ads. And the problem with ads is you don't control everything, right? Even Google wants everybody's money, so you had to be there one time, and the next time somebody else is there. The minute you stop paying, you have nothing to show for, as opposed to organic marketing. It builds. The reviews you got last month will help you this month. The SEO you got last month, you can build on top of that this month and rank for even more keywords and drive even more traffic. So for a ton of reasons, I'm a big believer in organic marketing, but it only works when you think things through, when you have your brand right. When you have a pretty decent plan on, who you are and how you're going to get to where you want to be, and from a business standpoint.
Okay. Let's move on to the second question. Is it okay to change my old logo? What is the best way to get around it?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't change something for the sake of changing, because it won't do any good. The only thing it'll do is confuse people. But obviously, if you had the wrong brand or you feel like you need to redo your brand, then I think as part of that overall change, I think changing a logo makes sense.
Okay, we'll move on to the third question. What should be my short-term and long-term goals in building a brand?
Yeah, the short-term goals, I think, is really make sure you have discovered your correct brand. Really make sure you're communicating from the inside out, the why and the how and the what. Get those things right. It just takes a bit of thought, but it's really, really, really worth it, because that's like the foundation. Once you have that, then the long-term goal, I think, is communicating it. So on day one, you might not have 10 testimonials, right? But little by little, you can build that up. So communication, again, kind of keeps evolving and keeps improving. And then living it, same thing, right? I mean, in the beginning, you're probably new to this, so you probably just need to start with you, and then you need to start think about how you would communicate, and then document it and teach others, right? Because everybody who represents your business is part of your brand, whether it's the person answering the phone or whether it's the senior most partner. So everybody needs to be on the same page. And then obviously using tools like call tracking and NPS and so forth, you can always look yourself in the mirror and say, is my team doing what we're supposed to? If not, how do we improve? So it continuously evolves. So in the short term, make sure you get the right brand and make sure you know how to communicate it from the inside out, why, how, and what. And then in the long term, focus on living it and communicating, better and better, every week, every month, every year.
Okay, we'll move on to our fourth question. Does it really matter how our ideal audience see us, as anyway our clients are still coming to us for our services?
Does it really matter how our ideal
audience see us, as anyway our clients are still coming to us for our services?
Well, I think most accountants would say they're struggling. And I think the reason they're struggling is there's fundamental change happening in the marketplace. Accounting is becoming a commodity. Software programs can do most of it, or you can have somebody else do it for cheaper, faster, right? So I think if you want to build a successful practice where you have a pretty high quality of life, you're not working like crazy and so forth, I think you need to really think this through, because competition is not going down, costs are not going up. Are they going down because somebody else somewhere else is willing to do it for cheaper, or some software will do it for free? So I think you have to really position yourself as the human expert who can really make the money and so forth, right? So I think thinking about it is a good thing, because you don't want to kind of try to fix it when it's too late, when you are under the gun, so to speak. But when you are kind of ahead, I think it's really a good idea to think about this and then improve it. I mean, if you already have a brand that's working, then just make it better, right? By living it better and communicating it better. On the other hand, if you don't have it, do it even though you don't need to right now, because if you do, the upside is huge. I've seen clients, who have doubled their businesses, who have increased their businesses by millions of dollars. So it can be done, and it's very, very powerful. And again, it's about working smart. So I mean, it's not like you're doubling your business by working twice the hours. You're doubling your business by reducing your hours. So you can do some interesting things.
Okay, we have just 2 more questions, Naren, for you. We have been in business for many years now and not really thought of building a brand as such. Where do I start?
Well, if you haven't thought of building your brand yet, I think, like I said, just if you're a successful business, ask your clients, and that's your brand. And they'll tell you your how, and from that you can figure out your why. If you're not a successful business, I think just thinking about it, and I would love to, if you want, just brainstorm about this, with you. I can, do that in 15 to 30 minutes, and, you don't have to pay us or anything. I'll do it, so anyway, so I can help you if you want me to. But I think you need to kind of reflect on it and think it through and get it right. And once you have it, just little by little start telling the story. Little by little start living that story, and look inwards and keep making that story better and more compelling, both the story you tell and the story you live.
Okay, great. We just have 1 more question for you, Naren. I have heard that a brand once built will need to be maintained, and that it is dynamic. How do I maintain my brand and keep it above the competitors?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the communicating and living it, right? Communicating is, we talked about it, like, you just have to keep at it, keep improving your stories, keep telling it more and more through social media, through your website, through whatever else, works, right? That's the communication part. And then living part also, going back to it, reminding everybody in your team your why and your how, and then watching it through NPS or surveys, or through call tracking or other means, and then combining that with training. So I really think when we talk about keeping your brand fresh, you're talking about living it and communicating it on an ongoing basis.
Okay, thank you, Naren, for your time spent with us. And we will have to say goodbye to you. And of course, thank you to all who joined in for this EOA with us. We will be sending this video so you can share it with your friends. And we will also keep you informed of the next webinar within a few weeks. And as Naren mentioned, the next topic would be reputation management and social media. So once again, thank you very much and have a very good day.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time, Tarini. And thank you everyone for joining with us today. And if you need anything, feel free to email me or call me. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.